My table for this edition of Extra Time. Full house indeed. We've got Sid Lowe waiting in the wings.
I haven't eaten that much this week.
There's still time. There's always time.
It could have been worse.
Duran gets us kicked off with a question, probably following the scenes from the Spurs stadium and its opening. Why is Man City Stadium always half empty? I mean, even for Champions League games, it's never full. That's maybe a little harsh, but
I think it is a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
But maybe prices. I mean, who knows?
It was half empty yesterday in comparison to
but who were they playing?
Obviously.
I mean, they're playing nobody.
Right. Playing someone. They were playing.
I mean, why would you turn up to watch that game?
Still a title race. I mean, they needed the 3 points.
But obviously the fans thought they were going to get 3 points, and they did.
Oh, so they're too
good.
If
it wasn't for the goal,
they're too good now. The fans.
If it wasn't for the goal, they would have got 10 goals. Never mind 2.
I'm trying to remember. Is that stadium right in the city?
No.
That's a little bit.
It's a little bit outside, isn't it?
Yeah, not right in the city.
You can get a
neither is Old Trafford.
But Old Trafford never has been the go-to club for Mancunians.
No.
You know, inner city Mancunians.
Right.
And they're kind of used to, those fans are used to getting out there.
Yeah.
A lot of fans get the tram from the city. So it's not difficult to get to, but for some reason they don't turn
up. So we're
up.
blaming the tram?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's blame ticket prices and tram ticket prices.
Oh, the tram ticket prices.
Yes.
So, Sid, next question you can start off on, probably again in reaction to what happened yesterday, which was Barcelona conceding 4 without Gerard Pique in the lineup. Is Pique underrated as a central defender?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the best central defender, I think, in Spain with Sergio Ramos, and actually a lot of the time ahead of Sergio Ramos, certainly in terms of consistency, for a very long time. And it does feel to me that he doesn't get talked about perhaps as much as he should. I think this season that's starting to happen, but I think it's a little late, actually. I mean, it's true that he's even better this year, perhaps, than in previous years, but I think he's been a great centre-back for a long time. Genuinely, I find it quite difficult to think of a centre-back in the world who I think is better than Pique at the moment, with the possible exception, I'm sure everyone will throw in the name of Van Dijk.
Best in the world, Matteo, for you?
Well, I just wonder, if you put Pique on Atletico Madrid and you have to play a lot deeper, would he be considered even more of a legend? Because when you're a centre-back for Barcelona and you have to play higher up the pitch, you're susceptible to creating mistakes, right, because of all the space behind you. So it also has to do with the system that they play, which puts a lot of pressure on Pique, especially when the team breaks on the counter.
Koulibaly or Pique? Who would you take?
Pique.
Yeah.
Oh, he's won everything. You have to. I'd take the one with the trophies. Absolutely.
But when you say put Pique in Atletico Madrid, then maybe he's not the same sort of player that we've seen at Barcelona. Because at Atletico Madrid, you're asked to do something entirely different than what you're asked to do at Barcelona. So, as much as I appreciate what you're saying, Pique in Atletico Madrid is not Pique in Barcelona. And Pique in Barcelona has been outstanding. And that's the sort of player that I appreciate simply because of what he gives this team. Not only is he able to defend, but he's also play out of the back and he adds himself into the attack every so often. All those things he would not be doing at Atletico Madrid simply because of the way they play. Different question for you, Pique or Van Dijk? Who do you take?
At the moment, got to take Van Dijk.
Yeah.
It's just because of age. If you're going to build your team around a young central defender, Van Dijk's your guy.
Xhaka, you agree?
Yeah, easily. I mean, I understand what Sid is saying about Pique, but I think at times he's desperately out of position. And that's given how Barcelona play and press high up the park, and sometimes that back four is left exposed. But I find, for my liking, too often Pique is chasing things. And the comparison there with Sergio Ramos, that tells his own story. Sergio Ramos can't stay in a good position. He somehow has to go running around like a nut every now and then. And so, just in terms of pure centre-backs, to your question, Van Dijk, easy.
Yeah. Sid, final word on this?
Well, I mean, I think Xhaka's right about Sergio Ramos. I think the point really isn't so much that compare them stylistically, because stylistically they're not the same at all. It's that because, of course, Sergio Ramos has had these huge, epic, kind of heroic moments, because they've won the European Cup, because he's scored big goals, particularly, of course, against Bayern Munich in the semi-finals, and then obviously the goal against Atletico in the final in Lisbon. Because of those kind of, if you like, kind of action man moments, I think he gets talked about much more than Pique, not because he's a better defender, and not even because they're comparable defenders stylistically, but there is much more of this kind of, certainly in Spain at least, there's this assumption that just says, well, best defender in the world, well, it's Ramos, obviously. And Pique, for too long, I think, hasn't even been in that conversation, and he should have been. He should have been in that conversation, certainly within a Spanish context, for the last 5, 6, maybe even 7 years.
know you love these either-or type of questions, Sid. So up the other end of the field, you can start first on this. Two South American strikers. I think they're roughly the same sort of age. Sergio Aguero or Luis Suarez? Who are you taking?
Luis Suarez by miles.
Why?
Because he's better.
Well,
I mean,
Other than that.
I mean, look,
Suarez
I really, really like Sergio Aguero, and he was absolute. Sergio Aguero, by the way, when he first broke through at Atletico Madrid, and he came to Atletico, I think, at the age of 18. Those first 2-3 seasons at Atletico, he was absolutely wonderful, playing almost on his own up front a lot of the time. The ball pumped long to him, making things happen almost entirely by himself. But I just think Luis Suarez has been, in terms of looking for a pure number 9, Luis Suarez has probably been the best in the world, at least on and off for the last 6, maybe 7 years.
Strikers in the room, do you concur?
The movement of Luis Suarez off the ball is better than that of Sergio Aguero. For that reason alone, I will take Luis Suarez. I also like what Luis Suarez brings not only to Barcelona, but what he brings to his national team, which Sergio Aguero has not been able to do with Argentina.
Okay.
I think it's impossible to separate them. When you look at what they've done for what Suarez did,
But we're forcing you to separate. You can only take one. You're building a team. You're managing the rest.
Aguero.
You're taking
I've got Aguero for the Golden Boot of the Premier League. I had him last year. For me, he's a pure goal scorer. Yes, we can talk about the hold-up play. We can talk about the link-up play with Suarez.
So what is Luis Suarez? Is he not a pure goal scorer?
But he also links up very well, though, Ali.
Right?
And
so then you're gonna put him a step down because he links up very well.
Listen, if you let me finish, I was going to talk about Suarez. What he did.
Talk about the tram again.
What he did.
Tell him the tram.
When he was at Liverpool, the way that he transformed certain players who have absolutely gone by the wayside now is quite remarkable. He did amazing things and continues to do amazing things.
Right.
But just because I disagree with you in Sydney, it doesn't matter to me. I go with Aguero.
Okay. There we go.
I don't know that you made a strong case.
I have no idea what just happened.
Well, because when I say machine gun me down, you idiot.
I don't know what's going on.
Moving on.
I'm still trying to figure out why Manchester City only have a half-full stadium.
Moving on, Shaka, you can get us started.
No, let's not move on.
You can get us started. Last one. What song got you ready for a big game? What song was ever played?
What song?
Yeah, any music in the locker room? Yeah, if there was a really big game in your career.
In our day, nobody had this. You didn't have music on your phone. You had a Walkman that was about this. So it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
Cassette tapes.
With the 8-track. You had a 8-track.
Everybody Google what a Walkman is. What's a Walkman?
At West Ham.
Let me see what was a Walkman.
Razor, Neil Ruddock, and Ian Wright. Used to be Elvis was our go-to music.
Elvis. Really? I didn't think
great.
What did that? Beethoven when you played? How did you get the music?
They had to roll in a piano. Somebody had to come and roll in the piano.
I'm going to hazard a guess there was some heavy metal in your past.
Easiest question that we've ever had. AC/DC.
Yeah.
Back in Black. No Danger.
The bells,
get it on Spotify, whatever you do, bang it out.
It's still played everywhere in every stadium.
Absolutely.
All extra time. That's the first definitive answer you've given.
Yeah.
Well, because I can't get blocked off by my fellow striker.
Ali's never blocked anybody off without going over.
Hey, I've told this story before, but this is towards the end of my career where, when the team that I played for, we were not very good. In fact, we were terrible. So they used to play...
Just give us a song.
That would be Chivas USA, by the way.
Tonight's going to be a good night, and I kept thinking, as I'm sitting back in the locker room, I don't know if it's going to be a good night.
For them. It's going to be a good night for them.
I'll take an okay night, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you what, that really gets you going, that song, doesn't it? Wow.
It really was a good night, was it, with Chivas USA?
Well, if you were the other team,
That was a good song.
Sergio Aguero.
The tram.
We will hopefully enjoy the pleasure of your company next time around on ESPN FC, available every day on ESPN Plus.